But I would really love to see this in the hands of the educators, of the psychologists and psychiatrists, because there's a whole nother side of this, right? Like, yeah, like, it sucks being in group home. It's terrible. It's lonely, but it's also pretty rough for the therapists that go through this too with these kids. They eat a lot of that sadness and abandonment, and then they have to move on, right? They're getting their residency or they're getting their hours for their clinical master's program, and they have to move on, and it's hard.
Here we go. We're back with another episode here on Writing with Authors. We've got Jeremy here. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm excited. I want you to hold that book up as I give you the intro because that's what we're diving into here. I love it. Well, while you have it up there, walk us through the cover selection. That's a great cover.
Thanks. That actually took longer than the editing thing, but and I'm not cussing on this, right? Probably not a good idea.
It's all right. Just do
Okay.
it.
But yeah, so the editing was pretty quick, but trying to find the right artist to push the loneliness within that cover took a long time. And that's a jacaranda tree. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it's out of Southern California, in Africa, South Africa, and places. But it's a huge tree that has like soft periwinkle purple flowers that drop, and very very visceral for me.
Well, it really does look great. So, congrats on a great cover. I can certainly remember wrestling with each book. What am I going to do? And then you have the little committee in your head, what color change, all these things. So, that's great. Now, how about the title?
Yeah, it's called Resilient: A Story of Group Home Survival. Tried to keep it as simple as possible so people know the difference between foster care, orphanages, group homes, and very structured into that.
Would you mind maybe enlightening our audience on the differences for everyone to have their education on the topic?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wrote this. When you look at, and I've said it a few other times with some folks, but when you look at the doctrine within foster care, within adoption, within the orphanages and medical facilities, it's all out there. But there's not a lot on group homes, and people don't understand the difference. And the major difference is it's a very cold medical environment. You have a 6-bed home, there's no family. It's, cycling staff members with a group home parent that's really there just to understand the business, get food in there, pay their employees, psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, social workers. And then foster care is amazing. I think it's a bad rap, but like foster care has phenomenal parents that have kids of their own, and then they take in a child that struggled. I mean, that's phenomenal, you know?
Well, thank you for sharing all that, and thank you for putting this book into the world, everyone. This is Writing with Authors, the show that interviews writers to help you not be on your journey alone and hopefully put a new book in your queue. I'm very excited for today because I know the passion he put into his book. And right now, if you're watching us along on the video version when it comes out or live stream, the link is right there for you to get your own copy. But you did mention it's a lonely process, right? Writing a book. What other challenges were there that maybe you didn't realize before you got into it?
I mean, initially it was cathartic, and I love to write anyways, but working in the community that I do, supporting the military, I realized pretty quickly that once this got out there, they're gonna know every little detail about me that I didn't really share. They know the wave top of what happened to me, but not all the gritty details. So that was hard for me to let out, but I had to do it because you never know. You say one person, you know.
Oh, the best. Even when I do speaking, if there's one person who comes and shakes your hand like, "Hey, like that got through to me," it makes it seem like it was so much more worth it. So I love how you highlighted that. And everyone, this is going to be even better because now we're going to talk more writing tips. So, of course, it's not as easy as just writing one day and then you have a published book. There's a lot of ups and downs. Can you walk us through maybe your process a bit and how that went?
Yeah, I failed at it a bit. I have a lot of purple prose. I write a little too descriptive, and it's hard for me to change that to make it easier for the reader to understand. So I committed to myself, and this is like the old Hemingway style, right? 500 to 1,000 words a day. Just write it, less or more. Leave some more for tomorrow. And so that's really like the path I went down. I did have moments of like just can't write today because what I had just written before was so hard to put onto paper. So I did it. There were sometimes I took a couple days off, but I committed to myself, no matter what, to write at least 500 words a day, and it got through pretty fast.
How long did it take? How many days of 500 did you do?
I mean,
Oh, you took a break.
yeah, I mean, I took a few days break in between when I wrote something like, when I talked about getting taken away from my mom, who was a heroin addict, right, at a young age. Putting that on, onto paper was hard. It felt great, but it was hard to write the next day. So, I mean, I would take a couple days off like that. But yeah, I got through most of it in less than a year. But what was the rewrites? That's what took me down for a while.
Well, let's talk about those rewrites.
Yeah. So I rewrote this thing 5 times, 5 and a half times. The first one, I took out chapters. It was hard. Like, I was like, "God, I gotta remove this stuff.
Yeah.
It's good, but it doesn't flow with the story, and it kinda takes away from the message." So, I taking out thousands and thousands of words, and then brought back in different elemental type of words, and then I had to, like I was saying before, I had to really understand that I can't be as descriptive as I want to be, and so I had to shorten some of those sentences down.
Doesn't it kill you to cut 2,000 words at
I had a
this?
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. I have a buddy of mine, he writes too. He said, "Don't get rid of it. Just keep another folder of all of your, like, exquisite writing." And I do, I keep it in there. I never just delete it. So it's around to come back for something else if we ever.
It's incredible advice. All my ghostwriting or regular book coaching clients, I tell them have a separate thing you can use as social media content, an extended version a few years later. The options are endless. So that is a great tip that you just brought up. Thank you for sharing that. Now, do you think you'll have another book in you? Do you want a sequel or a separate book, or walk us through that?
That's a good question. I was deliberate in stopping it when I left group homes. I moved into foster care when I was 16 and a half. I didn't wanna take away from that, so I stopped it right when I moved into foster care. That was my last chapter. I don't think I'm gonna write more on a memoir style, but I am actually writing a novel. I found that, yeah, man, I'm actually people have trouble with the dialogue, right? You have characters in the dialogue. I have 0 problems with that, and it's probably because 'cause I'm a bit nuts in the head, so, like, all the people that are already talking in there, it's super easy for me to write. It's actually a lot easier to get 500 words down, like, I can do that in 50.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Well, you're gonna have to keep me posted. Shoot me an email. I'll bring you back on the show so we can talk about that book. So, for your current book, who would you say the target reader is?
Yeah, that's hard. And I have trouble answering that because I don't wanna take away from a kid that survived it and reading it, but I would really love to see this in the hands of the educators, of the psychologists and psychiatrists, because there's a whole 'nother side of this, right? Like, yeah, it sucks being in group home, it's terrible, it's lonely, but it's also pretty rough for the therapists that go through this too with these kids. They eat a lot of that sadness and abandonment, and then they have to move on. Right? They're getting their residency or they're getting their hours for their clinical master's program, and they have to move on, and it's hard. So there's a whole 'nother side of this where do you actually want to do that? Sorry if you hear my dogs.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. How old are the dogs?
Oh, I got 6 and 8, but the gardeners just got here, of course.
No worry. It always happens at the worst times, but it's part of life. Everyone, again, I shared this story when I can in the beginning of my podcast journey, recovering perfectionist, try to chop and screw these episodes, remove the dog. You know what? It's part of life. So, everyone, we've learned a lot. We've learned about his journey. Now we have a second book coming in down the road, which is really, really great. If you could give one piece of advice here to any writer from the beginning, something you wish you knew, what would that one piece of advice be?
When you write, you are your own worst enemy in your head, so, like, you think your writing's really bad. So, I always thought when I was writing, people were biased when they said that, "Oh, yeah, your writing's good." And I was like, "Yeah, it's probably because we're friends, and you don't wanna, like, hurt my feelings." Uh, then get others to read it. The editing part of it was really good. I had editors say, "This is phenomenal writing," and so then it really changed for me.
Yeah.
And now it's like, "Okay, this is actually pretty good writing," and it motivates you.
It's always nice to hear someone else say, okay, it's not just me who thinks this is good, because oftentimes I've learned what looks good to me, what doesn't look good to the rest of the world, because social media has always been like my weakness. So now I have people that help me with it, of course, because I'm humble enough to say there are things in life I'm not good at, and that was just one of them. So thank you for sharing that. What's next for you personally? I'd love to also shed light on who you are because I know you also have a business. So let's shed some light on that. Let our listeners and viewers know a little more about you.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. I was really lucky, and, growing up, God always put someone in my path, to make sure I didn't, like, make really bad decisions, and, I was so blessed to have that. I had different volunteers and they call it CASA, court appointed special advocate. It's like a big brother. So I had a lot of that growing up that allowed me to escape the darkness and going down a path of, gangs or whatever it was in Southern California. So I I did try college after high school and just was not my thing.
Yeah.
And I realized pretty quickly that I was choosing my friendships with my closest friends over, doing good as an asset to society. So I just woke up one morning. I was like, I'm going to join the military, and I joined the Navy.
Oh, well, thank you for your service.
Thank you. And that was a lot, that was, late '90s, pre 9/11 days, and I was in during 9/11. And it just changed the whole trajectory of my life. I was so lucky, I moved into the intel field, got to do really cool things, and lots of deployments to not some great places. But yeah, I was just blessed all the way through that.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us. Thank you again for your service, everyone. Now I'm going to ask him where to find this book online. He gave us so much about his writing journey. I share that as a preview to perhaps another show down the road. So where can we find you online?
Yeah, I wish I could say this book was in like hardcover in like Barnes and Noble. We all want that. That's not the case here. It's all online with Amazon and Barnes and Noble online. It's a difficult thing too, is trying to justify why this book should take up space on the shelf.
I have not even tried doing that. I'm on Barnes and Noble online with my never, as you know, entrepreneurship will eat you up, spit you out. Solopreneur for so long, it just never hit the top of that priority where sales monetarily were never bigger than the whole mission of getting it out to the masses. Amazon's a great place, everyone. You can self-publish. So everyone, be sure to grab this book. The link is still going down there. My name is Vincent A. Lancey. Thank you for checking out this show exclusively here on YouTube. And it's brought to you by John Ford. He has an empathy card set, an empathy app. Be sure to go check him out. And of course, Coming Alive podcastproduction.com. But with that, we get right to the point here on these shows and waste no time on writing with authors. Thank you for sticking with us. And of course, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, sir.